Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Freelance Success Framework podcast series. Hey, Kate.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, guys. Now, if we have convinced you thus far that freelancing is a possibility, and not only is it a possibility, and not only is it a real job, and actually we'll have a little bit even more on that in the next few episodes, but that you can make good money at it and you don't have to be in feast or famine. In fact, really, you should not be. No dry spells for you. You may be wondering what it is that you could do for your freelance services. Now, some of you are thinking, all right, well, I'm a graphic designer by day. I would be a freelance graphic designer. Okay, great. Yes, absolutely. That is one thing that you can do. But if you're not quite sure, we'll talk a little bit more about that in this episode. The first thing, though, I think what we want to make sure that we're really, really clear on is how we're defining freelance, right?
We're talking about freelancing services for companies. So doing something like wedding photography, very, very viable, but you're going directly to consumers for that. You're not working with a business. So this is about working with businesses who have money to spend on a freelancer, you.
Exactly.
Often with services that they already have. So for example, if they already work with graphic designers, maybe even have some on staff, that means there's a really, really good chance that they might need a freelance graphic designer. Or if they, maybe they don't have a bookkeeper on staff, but they certainly could use one, then that's also something you could do as a freelancer, as just two of many, many examples.
Exactly. I mean, really, if a business has ever paid anybody to do anything on staff or freelance or whatever, if a company's ever paid for that, then they will pay for a freelancer to do it. From, again, bookkeeping, graphic design, search engine marketing,
ads management of
ads
any
management,
kind.
corporate events, any of these kinds of things. There are a whole slew of things. If a company has ever paid anybody to do it, they will pay a freelancer to do it. There is, and in fact, as we've been seeing, first of all, freelancing has always been a very strong and viable option, but it becomes stronger and more viable practically daily. Companies are craving that flexibility of being able to work with freelancers and bring them in when they are able to, and bring them in for projects and work with freelancers from anywhere. So if you're wondering what you could do, well, the first thing to think about is whether or not what you do in your day job is something that you would want to freelance if you are currently employed by a company. If you're employed by if you're doing nanny services, that's a little bit different. You're going to have a hard time potentially selling nanny services to a company without starting a nannying business. I guess there are a few exceptions in there, but think first about what it is, or what you do is what you do in your day job, something that you would want to continue as a freelancer. If that's the case, then great. Go for it. That can be what you do.
Skip to the next episode.
Skip to the next step. Yes, exactly. Choose your own adventure. Flip over to page 3. If you would slay the dragon, flip over to page 3. If though you're thinking, I don't know, I don't know if I want to do this as a freelancer.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. The first of all, we should probably say, to preface this, is if you're going to offer a freelance service, it needs to be something that you know how to do. If you are currently a graphic designer and you want to eventually become a freelance bookkeeper, but you don't yet know how to keep books, that's not something you should move into freelancing. First, learn to keep books, and then you can become a freelance bookkeeper. So if you're looking to
start freelancing as a graphic designer, and then with a little bit of additional spare time you might have as a freelance graphic designer, start learning how to become a bookkeeper. And then you've mastered the skills of knowing how to freelance, and you can then apply it to your then bookkeeping business. Or frankly, you could do both if you really, really wanted to. Pitching different people, maybe, of course, but you could offer different services.
Yeah, it's a great point. Nothing is set in stone. If you decide, yes, you know what, I'm going to be a freelance, whatever. And then the more you do it, you think, you know what, I don't know about this. I think maybe I'd rather do this instead. Fine. You can do that, change over it. You will have the freelance skills to land clients in whatever industry and doing whatever it is that you want to do. Now, yes, of course, in the system we teach you, we teach you how to put together a website for your business. So you have something out there in the world demonstrating your skill before people meet you. But you know what? If you decide you want to change industries, then change your website. It'll take you like a weekend. It doesn't have to be set in stone.
Or build a second one.
Or build
the cost of many websites now is pretty low, like $15 or something like that on certain sites. So it's not a high cost, especially if you're already making money at whatever you're doing freelancing and want to ramp up another arm, if you will, of your freelancing. That's not going to be a big cost. And frankly, it's going to be one of the only costs, really.
Exactly. It's it's very true in terms of costs of, not to get off on a tangent, but when it comes to actually providing your freelance services, because I know some people are sometimes like, well, am I going to have to, buy tons of business cards and letterhead, and am I going to need this and am I going to need that? Like, no, I mean, wouldn't hurt to have business cards just in case. Frankly, I was just thinking this morning, I haven't had business cards in like a decade, and I would always order business cards and I would never give them out to anybody because I never meet anybody who, anyway,
a pandemic happened and you weren't meeting people.
Exactly. And it's not that I never meet anybody, but it's so much easier for me to just send them to my website and to take a look at it on my phone, and then, okay, let's get in touch. Let me get your phone number or email address or whatever.
Swap contact. Yeah,
exactly. But the costs of being a freelancer are pretty much your website. If you probably will need to have a computer, but beyond that, you don't even need a printer. You can go get it printed, something, if you need to print something out, go get it printed at FedEx, Kinko's, or whatever it is, the UPS
the library,
store, or wherever.
The library always has printers, 10 cents a page or whatever. It's always cheap.
But the costs to get started as a freelancer are incredibly reasonable, incredibly doable. And nothing is set in stone. Remember, this is all about, it's not all about, but a big part of the benefit is that you get to decide. You get to be in control. You get to decide what projects you want to work on, what clients you want to work with, what you want to charge, where you want to work, how much you want to work, all that kind of thing. And then also you just get to decide what you want to do. If you go down the road of being a freelance graphic designer and you go, you know what? I don't love this as much as I thought I was. Maybe I want to do this instead. Then great. Pivot to doing that instead. Like we were saying, if a company has ever paid anybody to do something, they will pay a freelancer to do it.
And look at the skills you've done in the past. Chances are, if you're just starting out, maybe you haven't had a lot of experiences to draw on, and that's okay. But start somewhere. And if you have, though, had a lot of experience where you've worked a couple of different jobs or in a couple of different industries or roles, what are the types of things you were doing there beyond, maybe not even just your main role, but beyond that? What additional things that maybe you enjoyed, maybe you liked? You did a lot of writing. Maybe you were doing press releases as part of your bigger job, and that was only a piece of it, but maybe that's something you can now expand and look for those natural areas of things that you enjoyed that, let me write this down and let me explore what that would mean if I pursued this as a freelancer.
Yeah, it might not be the exact same title. It might be, if you are an executive assistant or an administrative assistant on staff, you're going, well, nobody's a freelance executive assistant. Well, actually, I would beg to differ. There are freelance executive assistants, but you might think, oh, well, nobody's a freelance admin. Well, actually, there are virtual assistants, and companies big and small need regular virtual assistants or need virtual assistants to come on for when they have a big project and they need a little extra help managing all the details and all that kind of stuff. If you've done something in a company, you can freelance at it. I know I've said that a bunch of times, but I'm saying it again because I really want to drive that home to you. I know some people are like, well, freelancing just means that you are an ads consultant, or freelancing just means that you are a copywriter, or freelancing just means that you are a coder, a developer. And that's not at all true. Not at all true. Freelancing can be any number of things. So don't let yourself be limited by what you have heard of other people freelancing in. Remember that when we view things from our perspective, in terms of, well, I've never heard of that before, our perspective is so limited. It's like,
or even what we've experienced
Yes.
is so limited. Even if you've worked at a handful of companies and all 5, say, of those companies you've worked at didn't hire freelancers, that's just 5 of hundreds of thousands of companies.
Millions.
Not millions
of companies.
So
Yes.
hundreds of thousands
Absolutely.
started each month, which we will get to. But so your experience can feel like a lot. It can feel overwhelming of like, well, this is 5 out of 5. That's 100%, but it's not, it's 100% of what you've worked with, not of the possibilities and of the opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Don't let yourself feel daunted by just the perspective that you have, because just by nature of the fact that we're human beings, we just see out of our own eyes, and all we were able to experience is what we as people are able to experience, when the actual global experience, what's going on in the world, is so much bigger and there's so much more opportunity. So, we always talk to our students about being very careful about making assumptions. I feel this and therefore that's true. Or I've seen this in 5 cases and therefore it's true. Often assumptions are incorrect. So just be very, very careful about that. And spend a little time thinking about what you would like your freelance career to be. Again, it should be something that you currently, if you want to charge people right now for this service, it should be something that you know how to do well. But again, to Kate's point, if you want to move into something else, then great, land some freelance clients in what you're doing now, make some extra cash, so you're able to study and move into that other field. Freelancing only adds to the flexibility in your lives. Okay, so you have a little bit of homework if you don't already immediately know what you want to do as a freelancer. And we will catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on this special Freelance Success Framework video series. If you found us through our free on-demand video training, then you already know 3 of the biggest secrets for building a dependable and scalable freelance business, and you are well on your way to success. If you haven't seen our free video training yet, be sure to check it out at freelancesuccesstraining.com. We'll see you there.